That was immediately. First cast, dude. Unreal. All right, good morning, folks. It is Nick Mobile here. We got our first cast. Awesome. And they are apparently on the current seam this morning. We're gonna let that fish go. Nice little chunker. And it's gonna be a fun morning today. The reason why is because I finally got a rod set up with 2-pound line, and I am so excited. That fish felt a lot bigger on 2-pound, and I can cast a lot further, so I'm very excited. I think I have definitely made the switch, even just being a few minutes in. I mean, we're getting hit every cast off this seam, and it feels just amazing on 2-pound line. You can't even compare the two between 2 and 4 pound. Just slow rolling a soft plastic and a 1/48 ounce jig head. I can't even believe how far you can cast a 1/48 ounce jig head on 2-pound line. Unbelievable, honestly. This is the first time, like I said, I have fished 2-pound line on open water. I have 2-pound on my ice rods, but dang, this is fun. All right, folks, so as you have already seen this morning, we have caught some panfish out of various locations. We caught some off current seams, we caught some off some submerged cover, and I'm not really gonna change from that. I'm just gonna make my way around this quarry and just see where I can pick off panfish. I'm more or less just out here enjoying that 2-pound line. It is a change that I just made, and I am absolutely loving it. A simple change. I've always wanted to fish 2-pound on open water, and I just had not bought a new reel for the longest time. Finally got a new open face reel, and I am loving the 2-pound line on it. It's a blast. Those panfish fight harder, and it's just easier to set your depth with those jigs, and you can really cast the lightest jigs. I got a 1/48 on there, like I said, and I have currently a 1 1/4 inch bobby Garland. I think I'm gonna try to pick off some bluegill off some stone. I'm not really holding myself to any particular pattern. I'm just gonna use my senses, what I know about fishing, and my electronics, pair that all together and just see where I can find panfish in various locations. So stay tuned. Let's just see what we can come across this morning. All right, friends, so I just got done talking to you guys on the phone, and this is what I'm looking at here. Doesn't look like much, but on my electronics, it is tons of scattered coarse rock, stone, gravel, just a lot of good various sizes of rock. And here's that 1 1/4 inch bobby Garland 80-bit swimmer right there. It's on a 1/48 ounce black jig head, a bit of white to help it stand out in that stained water. We got shade over here, and this is only 2 feet of water. I'm just gonna fan cast this scattered rock and just see if I can pull some bulls out, maybe some females, see if we can just catch a couple bluegill out of these rocks. They love to hold up in rock like other fish, and I'm just slow reeling just like crappie. There's one right there, first cast. Oh, it might be a bass, I don't know. We'll take a bass too, I guess. Nope, just a nice bluegill right there. Getting on some bluegill now, folks. I gotta tell you, that 1/48 ounce jig head would not cast at all that far with 4-pound line. So I can really comb an area, and that long cast just allows me to get bit. It's only 2 feet deep, so once I cast out, I just start reeling immediately. There's no water column to work here. There's another gill just stacked up on this rock. A lot of fun. They're probably bedding up on this rock right now, early June. A lot of fun. Just every cast you can just get on an absolute pile, much like crappie. And if you get those light jig heads, oh man, you can just have a blast. So we'll pile out a couple bluegill here, see if we can pull a real good one, and then we'll switch gears again. It's all relative to the body of water you fish, but there we go. Nice white crappie there off of the tree. Like I said, we're just chilling today. We got no plans. We're just seeing what bites. As you can tell, I was all over the place that morning, just trying different things with that 2-pound line, and I immediately just fell in love with 2-pound line. That's quite a statement, but it is incredible. Things that immediately stood out to me were casting distance, obviously. I had a 1/48 ounce jig head. That's lighter than the 1/32 I generally fish with, and I was able to cast it way farther than I can with 4-pound line and a 1/32. A game changer. It really is. In addition to that, another thing that really stood out to me was with that light jig head and that ability to cast it so far, I can really gauge the up and down. For me, it was just a lot easier to get that jig to be at where I wanted to in the water column. Having it so light, it just drops so slowly, especially in shallow water. I can keep that jig just above bottom, and that can make a big difference to those panfish in certain situations. So that is the second thing. The third thing, and that's the obvious thing and something I already know, but something that I want to share with you guys, that is the vertical jigging power of 2-pound line. I have monofilament 2-pound line. So monofilament is a floating line. If it was fluorocarbon, it would be sinking, it would work even better. But the advantage of that is if I'm vertical jigging the thin diameter of a 2-pound line, I can drop that jig even faster if I'm just vertical jigging. That jig will drop right to depth really quickly, especially with those lighter jig heads. Another thing that I've mentioned in previous videos is the ability of that 2-pound line and its thin diameter to cut through waves and cut through wind. Those waves and wind won't have that resistance against that line. It won't put as much bow in that line. You have added sensitivity, and it just allows you to place those light jig heads even better in the water column. These things can make big differences. They're subtle, but if you spend a lot of time on the water, it will make all the difference. 2-pound line has just been a game changer. It will never come off unless 1 pound. I don't know, but like amazing. It holds up great too. Fish fighting ability is just fine. Just set that drag, maybe have a more limber rod. It works fantastically. So 2-pound line, guys, amazing. End of story. Peace.